Now, former loser governor Sarah Palin attempted to shame Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez over a small verbal gaffe. And now, of course, it is coming back to bite her in the ass. Now, in a video from a conference call posted online, Palin was among some critics of Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and attempting to shame her after she referred to the three bodies of the U.S. government as the presidency, the House, and the Senate. Now, of course, people make that mistake. Regular people who then go and correct it immediately. She's like, oh, oops. Well, I know what that's like. Now, Palin shared a link to a blog post from her website about Ocasio-Cortez's slip-up. And it is funny that she has a website called Governor Palin when she hasn't been relevant in politics since she quit the governorship in Alaska. And by the way, something very interesting about her governorship, as she rails against the socialism of Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, don't forget that she nationalized her oil profits from these companies and gave it to every single Alaskan. If that's not socialism, I don't know what socialism is. And likely, if you're a fan of Ben Shapiro or Governor Palin, you probably don't understand what socialism is either. Nonetheless, after she posted this blog post, both right-wingers and centrist Democrats decided they were going to pounce and attack her for, oh, she doesn't know anything about the government. She knows nothing, and she's an elected representative. Oh my God. Do you guys forget that we have, well, first we had Palin, that could have been the vice president of the United States. And not only that, we have people like Louis Gohmert who have no idea what they're talking about space gays. I mean, seriously. You want to talk about Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez? Look at the president. Talking about how raking the forests will prevent forest fires. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? But of course, the centrist Democrats and right-wingers, it's almost as if they get together united in their hatred of progressives and progressive ideas. But then again, of course, as I said, this is a small mistake in which she immediately corrected. And I know what it's like to misspeak. Believe me. And so does, I imagine, Sarah Palin. After all, before Donald Trump, she was one of the most high-profile gaffe machines in America. For example, back when she was asked, 2008, by Katie Couric, what kind of newspapers do you read? Now, that's a pretty simple question, right? It's like, oh, I read the New York Times, or I read the Washington Post, or I read both. Those are prolific newspapers. Or maybe choose something that's more local. Newspapers in Alaska. Now, I don't live in Alaska, so I don't know Alaskan newspapers. Oh, got you. I'm sure some right-winger is doing that right now, but nonetheless, she couldn't answer that question. Not one. She said, I've read most of them, again with a great appreciation for the press, for the media. Later on, the same media that she now refers to as the lamestream media. Now, when pressed by Couric to specify what newspaper, okay, just give me an example of a newspaper that you read. She said all of them. Any of them that have been in front of me over the last years. I have a vast variety of sources. A vast variety of sources. Great. Palin, that's not the only time she's messed up. She also said that the U.S. has to stand with our North Korean allies. I guess maybe now that was ahead of its time since Donald Trump and Kim Jong-un are BFFs. But back then, not so much. She also was unable to accurately answer what a vice president does. What's a vice president do? He can go in the Senate and he can do votes. No, he can't. No. The only time where a vice president can come down to the Senate is during a tiebreaker vote. That's the only time. They can't vote on legislation. She's not as smart as a third grader. She's dumber than the third grader. Which again, I think it's sort of insulting towards third graders. But there's more. Afghanistan, according to her, is our neighboring country. No, it's not. It's halfway around the world. She also said about Russia They're our next door neighbors. And you can actually see Russia from land here in Alaska. From an island in Alaska. No, you can't. No, you can't. She said New Hampshire, which is in New England, was part of the Great Northwest. Oops. She also told Bill O'Reilly that the Constitution was, quote, clearly based off the Bible. Really? Are you sure about that? And not Enlightenment ideas? Because Enlightenment ideas are definitely distinct from the Bible. And the Constitution has this whole separation of church and state thing. She also said the vice president can get in there with the senators and make a lot of good policy changes, as I mentioned before. The Constitution says the vice president shall have no vote. So, again, does she understand the Constitution? Does she actually know what's in it? No. On Paul Revere, she said that Paul Revere warned the British that they, quote, they weren't going to be taking away our arms. No, he didn't tell the British that they're not going to be taking our guns. No. Paul Revere warned the colonists that the British army was marching towards them. She doesn't know anything. So it's pretty funny to see Sarah Palin attempting to shame someone on their slip-ups when she has had so many. So many. But then again, let's not be surprised that we have a president that is deeply anti-intellectual. Somebody who says, oh my God, that Puerto Rico, that the reason that we couldn't help Puerto Rico is because it was an island surrounded by water. Big water. Ocean water. Or that, we need to watch out for the people in the migrant caravan. We need to send our military to the border, which, by the way, we're bringing them back from the border just in time for their so-called invasion to get here in America. That you need to watch out because there's MS-13 and there's Middle Eastern in it. Middle Eastern? What? Or how he says he's a very stable genius and that we need people with more brain in the government. All actually things that he has said. All things he said. So, hey, right-wingers, if you're going to throw stones at people, make sure you're not living in a fucking glass house. That's all I'm saying. Hey guys, hopefully you enjoyed that free video. Now I'm going to have to ask you a favor. Between the demonetization and the YouTube algorithm messing around with view counts, etc., we're having a hard time adjusting to the new YouTube reality, which is where you guys come in. See, we have a Patreon, patreon.com/TYTNation, set up to help us rely on you guys, the viewers, instead of big corporate ads. Look, you know the show. You know how I'm not in favor of big corporations anyway. So help us transition away from relying on the ad model to pay the bills and sign up to be a patron, patreon.com/TYTNation. That goes a long way to help us keep the lights on. And you guys will know that you're supporting independent, progressive media.